Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most powerful accounts of the human spirit ever written. It's not a history book. It's not some grand political document. It's something way more personal, and because of that, way more powerful. We're diving into the Diary of Anne Frank. So let's start with Anne's own words, because that's what this is all about. On the surface, she had it all. She was 13, she had family, she even had what she called a throng of admirers. But underneath, she felt this incredible loneliness. She could talk about everyday stuff, but she just couldn't get closer, couldn't really confide in anyone. And that feeling, that's the key to why this diary even exists. So this book, a birthday present, became so much more than just a place to jot down thoughts. It was the answer to that loneliness. It became her confidant, the one true friend she felt she was missing. She even gave it a name, Kitty, and she poured her entire world onto its pages. Now, to really understand what was lost, we have to look at what her life was like right before everything changed. We need to get a picture of this bright, energetic teenager in Amsterdam whose world was about to shrink to the size of a few small rooms. Just look at this. The thing that's so striking is how normal it all is. This was her very last birthday in freedom. It was a day filled with simple joys, like giving cookies to her teachers, playing volleyball, getting books as gifts. It's a perfect little snapshot of an ordinary life, right on the edge of an extraordinary horror. And here is the stark, chilling contrast. While Anne's trying to just be a normal kid, the world around her is systematically being taken away, piece by piece. You have to wear a yellow star. You can't use a streetcar. You can only shop during a 2-hour window. There's a curfew. No movies, no pools, separate schools. Her life just became this suffocating list of things she was no longer allowed to do. And this quote from her friend, Jacques, wow, it just captures the feeling of it all perfectly. It wasn't just about a list of rules. It was about this constant, nagging fear that poisoned every single moment. The simple act of just living became terrifying. And then, in July 1942, the outside world just disappeared. The Frank family went into hiding. They built a new, secret world for themselves, hidden away behind a movable bookcase. Okay, let's just trace the path here for a second. Anne describes it in such vivid detail. It's like a maze through her father's office building, up a stairway through different offices, past a coal bin, and then finally into the secret annex. And this little space, spread across the second and third floors, this was the entire universe for 8 people for more than 2 years. And to survive in a place like that, you had to live by a very strict set of rules. Just think about it. You had to be absolutely silent during the day because there were workers in the building right below you. No German could be spoken. Even singing was only allowed in a soft whisper and only after 6 p.m. Every little sound was a risk. Every cough, every dropped spoon could have been a death sentence. And that constant danger, it just seeped into everything. For her birthday in the annex, Anne's sister Margot wrote her this little poem. But it wasn't about cake or presents. It was about what Anne did when she was scared. How a figure in white would run to her father's bed when shots rang out in the night. Even a birthday wish was shaped by the sound of gunfire. And of course, living right on top of each other created a ton of friction. You can just imagine it. Small things could blow up into huge arguments. Like here, a fight over whether Anne is eating her vegetables turns into a whole thing about her upbringing, with her dad having to step in. It's such a perfect example of the daily stress and just how frayed everyone's nerves were. But, and this is so important, even in that pressure cooker, there were these moments of unbelievable dark humor. This is how Anne sets the scene when Mr. Dussel, who was a dentist, decides he's going to do some dental work on Mrs. Van Daan. And the whole thing just descends into total chaos. Mrs. Van Daan is panicking, Dussel's tool is literally stuck in her tooth, and everyone else is just roaring with laughter. It's this moment of pure absurdity that must have been like a release valve, a brief escape from the grim reality they were all trapped in. So while their bodies were trapped, their minds certainly were not. And this is where we really see Anne's incredible spirit just take flight. Through her writing, her studies, and her own private, emotional awakening. Their dedication to learning was just an incredible act of resistance. Look at this. Margot was taking correspondence courses in trigonometry and physics. Anne was studying mythology and art history. This wasn't just about killing time. This was them preparing for a future that they were absolutely determined to have. And this is the heart of it all. Anne develops this profound ambition. She realizes she doesn't just want to be a wife and a mother. She wants to have an impact. She wants her life to mean something. And through her writing, she sees a path to a kind of immortality. It's just a hauntingly prophetic thing to write. And right in the middle of all the fear and the tension, something so beautiful and so normal happens. A first love. Her relationship with Peter Van Daan starts to blossom right there in the attic. And this tiny moment, a simple compliment, a warm look, it was this vital spark of connection and comfort in their totally isolated world. You see, the diary really was the space for her to figure everything out. Here, she's exploring puberty, the changes in her own body, which she calls a sweet secret. She uses Kitty to document this whole process with this amazing intellectual curiosity, a journey she basically had to take completely on her own. The diary ends so abruptly. The last entry is August 1st, 1944. Just 3 days later, the secret annex was discovered. But Anne's voice, the voice she worked so hard to develop, was not going to be silenced. In one of her final entries, Anne writes about looking out at the sky and the trees from the attic window. And even in that tiny sliver of a view, she finds this overwhelming beauty and hope. It is an absolutely incredible testament to her spirit, her ability to find light in the deepest, darkest of places. And this slide, this shows the devastating reality. Of the 8 people who hid in the annex, only one survived, Anne's father, Otto Frank. Anne and her sister Margot died from typhus in the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp just weeks before it was liberated. Otto would then spend the rest of his life making sure his daughter's words were shared with the world. Which really brings us to this final question. Anne Frank wrote, "I want to go on living even after my death." And she did. Through the pages of this diary, through her hopes, her fears, her incredible humor, and her unbreakable spirit, she absolutely did. Her voice became a voice for millions, a story that continues to challenge us and to inspire us to this very day.